Hey everyone, it's Brennan, and we're back with a new video. After a bit of a hiatus, I'm finally back with a video about the new v72 update for the Quest. For those of you who are not following Meta's blog, we are finally seeing a major improvement to multiple systems within the Quest OS and ecosystem. Now, some of these are more incremental improvements that we've already seen major leaps for over the last few months, but some of the big ticket items are remote desktop upgrades, improved hand tracking, and now a more general keyboard tracking. Now, one of the items I was most excited for were the changes surrounding remote desktop. For those of you who have watched some of my older content, I was pretty scathing in my initial review of the remote desktop beta app end of last year. The good news is it is finally getting an update. You can bring in up to 3 virtual monitors from your PC around you in 6 degrees of freedom. Not only that, but Windows 11 PCs with the newer updates can install an application to make quick pairing easy from your headset. Now, one of the downsides is my main criticism still remains. How am I supposed to interact with my PC over this remote desktop client? Both remote desktop and immersed allow the sending of keystrokes and clicks and such from the UI of the headset to your PC of choice. This allows you to use your headset remotely with a local Bluetooth or USB keyboard or mouse setup, or to tap on the screen directly, depending on your setup. And that's just not something you can do with the remote display app. I've dug through the settings and there doesn't seem to be any way to send keystrokes or mouse clicks, so you're really stuck to use this in your own house, where you're already pretty much within range of USB or Bluetooth. So it's really only for people who are trying to replace their monitors or augment their monitor setup at the moment. Don't get me wrong, these are still major improvements, because at the beginning I was really disappointed when I used the app. I made the video because I was concerned about the direction Meta was taking, because it seemed like they kind of just let it stagnate. It looks like they're finally picking it back up and trying to polish it, so that's good. I do wish it would have a Linux support, or better Linux support, so I'm not always forced to use third-party options. Now, one of the other big features that I missed in the initial announcement is keyboard tracking. Meta is finally releasing a more general mechanism for tracking your keyboard. It's not locked to Logitech, Apple, or Microsoft options. Instead, it actually uses the Portal technology that they've been working on and resizes it to fit your keyboard. Now, for me, this is important because that's the main reason I generally put on my headset for any productivity purpose, is although a laptop is fairly convenient, you don't get to immerse yourself into a quiet, relaxed world. You don't get to remove the stimuli of the world around you, which is one of the benefits of something like a Quest headset. You're able to kick on these really immersive backgrounds and just play some lo-fi and chill out, whether you're programming or typing up emails, whatever. And so, for me, being able to finally use my keyboard in those immersed situations versus having to turn on my pass-through just to be able to use my keyboard or work in the blind, that's a plus, because I don't ever seem to have one of the keyboards on their list. So this added flexibility is really nice, and it kind of brings us in line with where I was hoping we would move, where a lot of these solutions are not so specific. It's general, it's hardware agnostic. It'd be nice if you could track any keyboard and bring it into the 3D model, but that's just not feasible. As for a feature that seems to affect everybody who uses the Quest, the new version of 2.3 hand tracking has been dropping as part of this update. And that's really exciting because it brings a little bit more accuracy and seamlessness for those who rely on hand tracking. Unless I'm playing a game, I'm always using hand tracking. I do find certain situations where I'm still misclicking because I anticipate my finger's going to land somewhere else than it does, but that's more on me. The interface feels very fluid and very responsive, and I much prefer it over controllers, except for when I'm playing a game or need something very, very, very specific. Now, they do mention that hand stealing has gone down with this update, and a lot of other things related to the pinching and pointing mechanisms being a little bit better at picking up direction and a little bit easier to use, and same for pinching and dragging. So it's going to be a lot of incremental things that if you use hand tracking a lot, you're going to pick up on, but the best thing is you don't want to be noticing them, right? That means that they did a good job. You want it to be less jarring. So these are all quality of life updates and not something that you're going to be like, oh, I see a new button. It's not like that. It's more that it's less friction for the average user. And I'm all about users having to deal with less friction. And now for a couple more minor changes, or at least I say minor. They have brought the Instagram Direct Messenger in. So in addition to having the Instagram app, you actually have access to the Direct Messenger now to share while you're within the app. There's also an apparent new media gallery app. I'm guessing this is a way of improving photos and kind of aggregating some of the tools that Meta has been creating for viewing spatial video and otherwise. And this feels good because I always felt like the photo app was kind of limited, and I'm just hoping this is a little less laggy. Because that's one of those apps that always seems to be delayed, where after I first start my headset, I can't start recording or I can't take a photo, and it takes some time to update sometimes. Apparently, I missed out, and then more recently, Meta had added live captions to Meta Horizon Worlds. And now, on this newer update, they've actually added it for calls amongst people using the People app. So that's useful, so you can get captions if, maybe you misheard something, or, maybe you're hard of hearing, so that's really useful. I do appreciate that they're putting some effort into making things more accessible. If it had live translation, that'd be even more wild, but that does take a little bit more processing, I imagine. It does appear like there'll be a live transcript shown when you enable this feature, so it won't just be bits and pieces. It should show you a history of what was said that can really help if you miss something. Or, like I said, hard of hearing. But I think that covered most of what was in this update. I just think this is really important because every step we move towards better monitor access and better productivity is something I think that is really needed in the VR space. A lot of my most popular videos are because people are asking questions and wanting to use their headsets in a productive way or for development purposes. And I'm sure there are limitations imposed by its form factor that are made better as it gets lighter and lighter with future revisions. But this is a use case people want to experience and they want to become a reality. So I just get excited every incremental improvement that Meta makes on these particular sets of features. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in again. As always, I'll see you guys next time.